Hi everyone, this is Laura from Grain and Company, and today I am here with November's Creative Maker Box. I might sound a little nasally because right now I am stuck at home with COVID, all because of a little sliver in my finger. So so here I am. So we're gonna get started with this project. You'll need your 16-inch round, and then you'll have your front piece as well. You should have had a package of ribbon and some string, and a zip tie and some greenery for some extra accessory part that we'll add on after. But we'll get started with the painting of the background first, and then we can work on the design part. So you're going to have a 1 ounce container. Mine is just a bigger one that's filled half full. This is your olive color. This is for the background. We'll only need two coats. This color covers very well. So that's what we're gonna do. So I like to do, if I can, I like to do the edges first, because sometimes that way if I do the edges first and I get a little extra, then I can sand away this buildup first before I come back and do this. So I'm just gonna carefully take, this is my 1/2 inch brush in your guys' set, and I'm just gonna come in here. And what I've done actually first is I've actually taken my sandpaper and I've just gone outside or in a garage or whatever and just kind of sanded the edge, because it would have come off the machine and it'll be a little bit straight edge instead of rounded. And then I've also taken my sandpaper and sand this smooth all the way around, just because it paints a little bit nicer when you've got the grain smoothed out, just because of the way it's cut. So I'm just gonna go around, and I'll start and then I'll speed up the video eventually, just so you're not sitting here watching me do the whole thing, or maybe you will, who knows. Anyway, so I'm just twinning this nice thin layer, and so when I'm trying to get in the front, I'm trying not to get too much of a lip. So you just want, let me grab my brush again. So that's how much paint I've got on right now, and I'm just trying to gently apply it, and you can see a little's going a long way and it covers very well. So, and then I'm just coming in here and smoothing this out. So I've got a little heavier there, but when we sand later, I'm going to sand that so it's a little bit less obvious. Just sometimes if you get too much, you can see that extra layer underneath your other coats of paint, so you just want to eliminate that. So I like to do this first. I like to do my edges first, and it's easier, as you can see, because I'm not painting both sections at once. I can keep rotating this and holding it without having to do it flat on my surface. So that's another thing I like. And I've got parchment paper on here, so as I spin it, and even though I'm not using a whole lot of paint, it's not really leaving anything wet on my parchment paper, or will it stick to the table. So that's why if you do thin layers as well, that will help that as well. So I'm just going to continue. Well, I'm almost done here. I'm going to continue going around, and then I'll let it dry and come back in a few minutes after that, and then I'll do one more, and then we can do the front. But if you can use a small brush for this part, then you can kind of keep it in that area a little bit easier. But as you go around the side, if you feel like you've got some, just pull it or push it away. You just want to try and make sure that area is very thin, so you don't have this big heavy layer of paint, and that way we can just sand it out after. All right, actually I've got probably one more brush full, so I'll just finish this and keep talking, and then I'll be done. Just like that. Just put your brush in a bag when you're done, because really this isn't, I already can tell this is wet, this is dry, and you can already see it's already darkened, so I already know that it's dry. But I'm just going to give it a few minutes so that way all the areas are dry, and then I'm going to come back, give that a sand, and I'll even sand this for the first coat too, so that way it's just getting knocked down each layer, and then I'll be back. Okay, see you guys soon. Okay, I'm back. I'm just going to quickly sand this. so that part's done, and then I'm just gonna find the grain, and I'm just gonna it won't completely disappear, but you just don't want it to feel like there's anything raised there. Right now, this is just, it's just, you know, colored the wood there. But we're on this side, hold on, because I haven't sanded this side yet. If I was to feel this, I can feel a little bit of texture from that extra dry paint, and that's what will show underneath this layer if you don't sand it smooth. So if I wear that away a little bit, and then I'm just gonna wipe that down. Okay, and then I'm just gonna repeat that outside edge again. So I'm just gonna speed it up so you don't need to see me do that again. Really slowly. Now, because we're done this first part, I can lay this down, and now I can continue on and I can do the next part. So now you've got a couple choices. You got a 2-inch brush, you could do a 1-inch brush, and you know what? Sometimes I like just using my little 1-inch brush, so that's where I'm going to do this. So I'm just starting with my paint in the middle, and I'm working it to the sides, and then I'm gonna just go back. Hold on. Okay, let me get this on. Okay, so now my final strokes will go all the way across. See, and then it will clean up any brush strokes. And then you want to carefully just grab along that edge and make sure you have nothing that's going over the edge. So I'm not putting a ton on, and I'm trying to work in small sections so that way my paint doesn't have a chance to dry before I get it evened out here and all the way across. But you can already see it starting to dry. It starts to turn darker. So all right, and then brush. And remember, if you miss some spots, we're doing a second coat, so don't worry about that. And then just come up and feather those edges there. So let me just move this a second, and then I can pull this up a little bit higher. There we go. Okay. So if you don't have enough, just add just a little bit more, enough to get that movement in the paint, and then go all the way across to even out those strokes, and then just leave it. Don't keep playing with it, because that's when you'll see those brush strokes, because then it'll start to drag, and then you'll see that and it'll be obvious. So light hand, go right across, back and forth, and then leave it. And as long as you're not overdoing it in the paint, then you're not worrying about putting too much on that edge. Okay, 1, 2, there, and then you can just gently come over here and make sure you have nothing left behind. My edges are pretty good. Usually when you do the first top and bottom, you're hitting more of that side, is usually where a little extra paint can be deposited, but a little does go a very long way. Okay, and then just come around here, just kind of feather out anything, and then you can check your sides, make sure they're clean, but we're just gonna let this dry. On the camera you might be able to see the two tones as it's starting to dry, but this shouldn't take more than about, depending on your environment, about 10-15 minutes. You want it dry enough that it's going to be good enough to sand well. It's not going to pill, so make sure it doesn't feel cool. But I'm going to give it its proper time, and then I'll come back, we'll do the second coat, and then we can work on the white part to the front. All right, so I'll be back shortly, guys. Okay guys, so I'm back. It's dry. It's probably only been 10 minutes in my house, but now I'm going to start giving it a sand. So I like to sand up and down, but with the grain, so that way I'm not creating any curve marks, and you'll find it easier this way to keep them straight. So I'm just sanding so it feels smooth, because if I feel over here it's rough from the grain raising, because we've introduced moisture from the paint into the wood. So I'm going one way. Now I haven't done the back side yet, because I'm going to turn around and I'm going to turn it the other way and do it this way. And then same thing again, just because we may have done a little bit and we didn't sand that last coat, I'm going to come in and do it now. Yeah, just like we got paint in the front, we can get it in the back. So I'm not worrying about it. Like if you have an electric sander, you can go out and do that before you stick the front on, or you can just leave it. But it's really hard to keep this clean, just like you saw in the front. So for me, I'll just take it back later and sand it off. But doing it by hand right now, it's not worth it. I'll just do it later. So once again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to paint another coat, because you already can see how well the first coat did, but it's not quite enough. I want a little bit more, and then we'll let that dry. So I'm going to just grab my paint again. Now you don't have to, we're not doing the sides anymore, we're just doing the top. Grab a brush. All right, so start with your paint. Okay, so now that's going to dry, and I'm just going to give it a few minutes so I can actually handle it and move it off to the side, and then I will come back, and we're going to need our design part, we're going to need our white paint, we'll need a foam wedge this time to have ready, and I will be back shortly. Okay, see you guys. Okay, so this is now dry enough for me to move out of the way, so I'm just going to set it off to the side. I'll worry about sanding it later. I don't need it done right now. And then it gives it a better chance to dry before I do. All right, take my notes away here. And I'm just going to use my paper towel that I was wiping for my blotting cloth. So I'm just going to do that. Now I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to tape it back in on the other side. And then I can take the tape off of the front. I know it's kind of a waste of tape, but it's the only way I can do it, guys. All right. So you don't have to cover every square inch, just enough to hold at those key points. Okay, so make sure those are on really well, and flip this over and peel it off. Because we're doing it all one color, I don't need to leave anything back. But if you decide to change what we are doing, then you can keep some of the tape on as a mask, so you can do some colors, and then you can remove as you go. So I'm just gonna speed this up while I pull the tape off and then continue. Okay, that part's done. So I'm just gonna set this, get you guys better centered there. Okay. So let's, okay, so you guys have a 1/2 ounce white. I'm just gonna try and give myself that much because I'm at home and I've just got a bunch of paint here. So it's about half this container. Now, it might not seem like much, but you're only doing light layers. And yeah, so I might even just dump some of this on here. Okay. So get your sponge, give it a dip, and then just blot off so it's not overly wet, and then just lightly tap, as we do with all of our stuff, and lightly apply your paint, and then just keep going at it. You don't want to press that hard when you're applying, because you don't want to be pushing it down the insides of the or the sides of the letters, so that way it's gonna get stuck in there after. So your first coat will always take a bit more because we're trying to get it on there, and it'll want to soak up more. So your arm will fall off first before you run out of paint here, but all right. Oh my goodness, when you're sick, your arms just don't work. All right, let's keep going here, guys. So as you see, I'm sometimes holding down where I am because the wood wants to, the design wants to kind of pop in. So I'm just trying to do that so it helps hold it up a little bit more. And it could just be my table because I've got the line in the middle, so it's probably what's doing it the most, but all right, so I'm gonna speed this up for you guys because this just is repetitive for, you know, too long of a period of time. So yes, your word is spelled right. Making sure that you have the correct version. Okay, that's the first coat, and because the layers are very thin, it won't take more than 5 minutes to dry, and then I'll come back and we'll repeat it and speed it up again, and we'll just keep doing it till it's got good coverage. Probably 3, but we'll see what it does. Okay, so I will see you in just a few minutes. Okay. Okay, I'm back to do this next part. So it's dry. I'm just going to give it a quick sand. All right, and the next thing you want to do is come in and just make sure that you can move those letters, because you don't want to get them stuck in there. Now, if you can't finish it after you're done painting one coat, then I would suggest pulling the tape off and letting them fall out, because you don't want to let this sit in here overnight and have them get stuck. So it's best to let them fall out, or take them out and then put them back in, then have them stuck. So now I'm just going to redo it again, and I'll speed it up so you don't have to watch me again. We gave you guys a 1/2 ounce container of paint because my first one that I did the picture on is a little bit bigger, but I was kind of unsure how much you're going to need. So you'll probably see another container, a 1/4 ounce container of white in your subscription box as well, because I have a feeling you're going to need just a little bit more to do that third coat. It would be close on the half, but I think we'll just give you a little bit more just to make sure. I'd rather you have too much than not enough. Okay, so that is 2 coats, and it's covering pretty well, but I know there's a few spots that I could just do a bit more, so it's just easier to do the third coat. So I'm just going to let that dry again, and then we're going to give that a little bit of a wiggle, and then we will do it one more time. Okay, so I will see you back in a few more minutes. Okay, back for the final coat. So quick sand again. I had a little bit of paint left before I shut the video off last time, so I just went on here and used some of it up. But I'm just going to quickly make sure these can get wiggle. Yeah, we're looking pretty good. Okay, so I'm just going to go in here, grab my paint. I'm going to flip it upside down this time. Okay. So that's it. Now I just have a little bit left of my 1/2 ounce, but you might not be as light-handed as me, so we will give you a little bit more, but oops. So I'm just gonna let this sit in here for a few minutes, and then I'm gonna pop it out and let it dry off to the side for a while, because I don't want to sand it until the paint has a chance to sit just a little longer, and then we can put it together the next day. Just want to give it a little bit of a look. Oops, my tape's doing all sorts of things here. All right, it's usually these ones here that are picky. There we go. Okay, and then if you miss anything, you can always come in and touch it up. But for now, I think we're doing pretty good here. So I'll give that its few minutes, and like I said, then I'll come back. I'll show you what I mean. When we pop it out and how I like to do it, and then yeah, we'll just leave it till tomorrow and do the rest. So okay, I'll be back here very shortly. Okay, so I'm back, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure there's nothing, no wet paint or anything like that. And then I'm going to take my tape, and I'm going to carefully peel it back. If I pull out any of those inner bits, I don't care. If I take the letters, I'm just going to put them down for now. Don't lose that dot to the eye there, so make sure you plug that one back in. Okay. So in order for me to store this overnight, so I'm not going to worry about anything sticking, is I'm going to make sure it all falls out. Now if it doesn't, just gently give it a push and make sure you don't want to push on it too hard, because you don't want to bust those letters. And then we just have to, there we go. Okay, there. I'm just gonna pop these out. I'm really not worried about where they're landing at the moment. I just want to get them out of here. Okay, oops, there's one here. And one here. Okay, so make sure everything is out. You need to keep this piece. So just set that off. Oops, forgot one. There we go. See? Set it off to the side. Now I'm just going to flip these over and set them off to the side. I'm going to try and keep them in their sections so I know where they're coming from. Yeah, this star, that star, and this star up at the top. And I'm going to take out all of my middle bits to my letters, because you don't want those stuck in there either. So set those there. Now Christmas comes in a couple sections. So just pop all those out. Okay, that's garbage. Oops, nope, do not forget that little circle. There we go. You don't want to be fishing that out of the garbage. Okay, I'm going to set these here. Make sure you got your stars. 1, 2 tiny ones in the middle here, and then your 2 bigger ones on either side. Okay, and then there's fir. Here's pine. Doesn't hurt for you to spell out the words, so you make sure you've got all of them. Yep, there's spruce. Okay, just like that, and we'll set those off there. And then that way they can dry. They are dry, but that way they're not drying with anything that might be wet on the side, and you'll know that you'll be able to put your piece together when you can. And then the rest you just throw in the garbage. So later we'll sand the sign, we'll put that together, and then we will put together the bow for the top. All right, so I'll see you next time and we'll finish up the sign. Okay, see you guys. Hi guys, I'm back. It's the next day for me, and we're gonna get started on getting this put together and then get our ribbon made and get it done. Okay, so my border's dry and I haven't sanded it yet, so I'm just going to quickly do this with the grain again, and I'm gonna go up and down. And if you wanna distress the edges a little bit, you can kind of just run your sandpaper around there. I just like to wear it away just a little bit to give it a little bit of definition. I'll see if I can bring it in and show you. I'm not sure. There's the green, and then I've kind of worn it back down to the wood there. So I'm gonna grab my paper towel and wipe off all that dust. Oh, I forgot to do the sides here. All right, so just quickly doing that. And then just put that off to the side for a second. I'm just going to wipe away this extra dust. All right, and then I'm going to bring it back. And now this time we want to watch, we're looking for the grain to go side to side now. So sometimes it's really hard to find, but do your best. I'm actually going to want this. I have a little blemish here, so I'm just going to put it more in the bottom half. So this is, you want to do your best, and then this will be lined up identically or pretty darn close. So if you've got like a millimeter space around, then just space it that way, and we can lock it in here in a second. Okay, so I'm just making sure my camera's level. Just gonna take a quick peek here, make sure I like what I see there. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I haven't sanded these pieces, and I'm gonna kind of leave it until I put it all on here. Some of these pieces are pretty fragile, and there's no point in me taping them back into here just to sand them and take it back out. So I'm just gonna wait till I put these all in. So I just happened to grab this big long piece, and I'm just gonna add this one first. You can add a small one to lock it into place, but I'm just gonna start with this one. So this one is the bottom one here. So before I put my first piece in, I want to make sure, obviously it hasn't moved, but I want to make sure it's exactly where I want it. And okay, now what I'm going to do is hold this while I put it in here so I don't shift it. There we go. Okay, and I'm just going to push that in place. So that kind of locks the bottom half of that template into place. And now I'm going to do the top one. That way I know it's not going to move. And I can just keep going and peeling and sticking in all my pieces down. All right, oops. So really that's all what this next layer is about, is taking your pieces, peel and stick. So now that I've got something at the top and the bottom, this isn't gonna move. So now I can go ahead and put all of my pieces in, and then when we're done, we'll add on, do the next part. So I'm gonna speed this up because there's no point you watching me for the next 10 minutes put all these pieces in. So I'll just keep going along here, and you can just watch me, and I will be back shortly. Okay guys, there we go. So it is all done. And I'm just gonna gently pull this off. And there you go. So you may want to keep this piece for when you store it because it helps protect this area when you pack it away. So that is up to you. I'm just gonna put that off to the side right now. And we are going to, we're gonna do, well, we can do this part now or after, it doesn't really matter, but you know what, I'm just going to actually, when I do this, I'm going to flip this over with it on, just so it keeps those protected. And I need to make sure, so kind of look at it from up and down where you know it's, there you go. Okay, so what we're going to need to do is we need to put our string on, and I need to find mine, there we go. So we're looking for one of the long string pieces. Now I could have cut an attachment that you could have glued on, but the fact is if you don't glue it on properly or with the right glue and it falls down, it's not, because this is quite heavy. So for liability's sake, I can't include that. Where we're giving you string, and if you staple it on, then that's your best bet because you're going right into the wood. So what I'm doing right now is just tying a couple knots on one end. Actually, I'm just doubling it up, and I gotta go grab my stapler, and I hope it's here because I brought it to the store before I was sick. So I'm gonna just pause and I'll be right back. All right, so it seems it is at my store. So what the point of how to hang this is, like I said, I'm just double knotting so my knots are nice and bulky here. And okay, so what I'm doing is I kind of getting an idea how much hanging part I want, and it's, so you're kind of going like that. You can go a little closer to the top, however you want, and you might not need to tie quite so far away like I did. I'll probably take those apart. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your heavy duty stapler and you're going to run it across where the staple is above the knot. And I usually like to do coupled, make sure those are good in nice and tight, and then that's how I would do it to hang it. So there is a reason we're doing a string up here because we're going to attach our bow up at the top. But for this purpose, I do not have the stapler here. So we're just going to have to go with the flow here. So the next part is our ribbon and our greenery. Oh, here it is. Okay, so with the greenery, we're going to start with that first. So in there you've got 6 pieces. So what you're going to want to do is cluster one on one side with 3 and 3 on the other, and then you're going to take that zip tie and you're going to put them together. Oops, where's this? Kind of make sure you've got all the branches in as far in as you want, because once you get it attached, it's kind of hard to fix. So take that zip tie and run it through, and then definitely make sure you've got those greenery overlapped, each set of stems on each side, so that way when you pull it, so mine right now is almost, so I can move it, so I want to make sure all my stems are evenly in there, so you don't close it up and then you like, oh shoot. Yeah, no, that looks pretty good. And then just pull it as tight as you can. And where did this one go? There it is. Okay. There, and then we're just gonna cut that off. And then he'll just stay off to the side for a moment. All right, so the next strings, we'll need the 2 small strings, one for each ribbon, and this one we'll use after for tying onto the string over there. Okay, so what we're gonna do is you're gonna take your ribbon kind of got it lined up at the bottom here. I'm going to try to remember what I did here. So we're not tying it like a conventional bow, or like you would normally tie a ribbon. All right, so I've kind of got it like a Superman emblem, or if you've got it crossed a little bit more, you've got it like that breast cancer research little, ribbon kind of thing. So you probably want your tails out just a little bit, and what you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're just going to kind of pucker it. Maybe if I turn it sideways you can see it a bit better. You're going to kind of grab that middle at the bottom and you're going to kind of pinch so that it creates your bow, and then you're going to tie it. So just wrap that string around to the back, keep it pinched. If you have someone else there to help you tie it, that's fine. You can use an extra set of hands or just lean it on the table and hold it. And just pinch it in there. So just kind of make sure that they're even. You can always take it apart and do it again, but for the most part that is fine. So I'm just going to double knot it here, and we'll come back and cut the tails shortly, just not right now. Okay, same thing with this one. I'm going to come in here and we're going to, so with this one, same thing. You're going to make sure your good sides are up. You're going to crisscross it at the bottom, and you're just going to kind of pinch it in the middle, like bring it to the middle so your loops are the same on both sides. Hold on, sometimes this wire makes things funny. Okay, so kind of pull it in there like that, and then come in here and kind of pinch it. Okay, that one I want a little bit longer this time, so I didn't do the small ribbon last time, but we are doing it this time. All right. So you have less to play with when you're scrunching, but I just want to make sure. Yep, no, that should be fine. Okay. All right, and I'm going to take your the other shorter ribbon and wrap it around again and tie in place. You can always unsquish the ribbon after, just get it in there and tie it like that, and then see if you need to adjust anything in terms of, yeah, see this side is a bit bigger for me, so I'm going to I don't want to unloosen it. That's why I haven't double knotted it yet, so it kind of, okay, that'll be good. I know my tails are a little off, but I'm okay with that because I still am going to trim them, and we'll make it work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is grab a good pair of scissors. I know this one don't cut fabric very well, so I'm going to go grab other ones. I just know my video time's going to run out again here soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these on an angle. I'm just going to trim them like that. So now I got to make sure this one is about the same. Okay, and then this one, you want to make sure you keep those angles the same, so you're coming in like this Watch you don't cut the loop. And this one. Okay, so this one I'm going to tie again. You can cut those off. Okay, I'm probably going to stop the video and reset it so I don't have it stop in the middle of this next part. So I'm just going to cut these off and then I will be right back. Okay, well, that's only gives me 5 minutes, but we'll see what we can do. Okay, so now line that one up, line this one up, and you want to have your greenery in there too. And kind of evenly, we can move around the greenery and squish it after so it doesn't stick out quite so much. But what you're gonna do now is take your other, long string, and you're going to start, I've got my tail coming out from the bottom. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just going to put a little bit out so we can tie it back after. And I'm just going to keep wrapping this string in the middle, pulling it really tight. And I'm just going to keep going around and around. All right. You want to kind of create that center part so it looks like, there we go. There, so I've wrapped it around a few times, enough to use it all up, so that way when I flip it over I can just tie it off here. Really tight. And before I cut the tails, I want to just make sure everything is fine. So I can pucker that, take that wire and kind of squish it and just shape it. And then you can always come in here and move these around and so that they look good here. So let me quickly do this. Since I don't have my other string, I'm just going to kind of fake this. Okay, so we've got those. So we're not attaching this to the board because it just takes up too much of your sign area, and we want to see your sign. So, so yeah, just kind of play with it, shape those branches, and then what happens is that your this string that is attached underneath here like this, when you get it stapled on, you'll have your nice point up at the top. What you'll do is you'll place that there, and then you'll take this string and then you'll just tie it on. So that way it's not permanently there, and you'll just tie it onto that one. And you can untie it after the season, or you can use this ribbon bunch for any other wreath part that you have. But yeah, so that's what that part is. So now once you're comfortable with that, you can cover, you can tie up that string. The biggest thing you want to do is make sure you're covering that zip tie is what you're wanting to do. And I kind of avoided that. There you go. So yeah, the string in the middle, put your greenery and then your ribbon and then wrap it around so your zip tie and all those other strings get hidden. And then you'll take this string, even if you wanted to just tie it on once so you've got it, and then that way, so you just go like this, and then once you go up to here you can just take it and then tie it on to your hanging string. So that is the point of that. And then once you've got it on wherever you want to hang it, then you can shape this greenery a little bit better. Sometimes it's hard to know if you want to bring it down and whatever. So depending on how close you tie that, attach that string to the back of your sign, your bow may hang down a little bit onto your sign, and that's totally fine too. So depending on what you want, you can always adjust that in the back. But this one's sitting up a little higher there. If you bring it down a little lower, it can hang onto there. But yeah, that's what it is, and I hope you enjoy that. I guess, yeah, I will see you guys next month when it is December's Creative Maker Box. But I have to talk fast because my video is about to die again. And hopefully we'll see you guys soon in the store once I'm done feeling a bit better. All right. Thanks, guys. See you next month. Bye.